Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Flying Scot Top Gun series. We're here with Zeke Horowitz, reigning North American champion. First off, Zeke, want to thank you for your time and North Sales especially for letting us have you all to ourselves for a couple days to shoot some of these fun filming projects. Today we're going to talk about something that I think is really helpful for me. It's sail trim, and it seems like it's a simple thing when you're talking about sailing, but there's some nuances here that I think you can help people like me with significantly. So why don't you talk us through sail trim in general, and let's look at this video and see what you see and see if we see the same things.
Well, I think first of all, very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. This is really fun stuff, and good for you for doing this for the class. This is great. I think in terms of sail trim, I think the most important thing to remember is that it needs to be very dynamic. It's very rare that the sails shouldn't be being adjusted all the time. In the Flying Scot, it's mostly on the mainsail with the Vang, a little bit on the Cunningham, but a ton on the main sheet. So I think that's what you'll be seeing. This video is taken in probably about 8 to 12 knots. You can see me and my dad Jay, we're both up on the rail and hiking at times. And so this was a really good opportunity to see kind of changing gears as the puffs come on. And so what I try to have the Vang really close to me. You can see me right there going to make an adjustment on the Vang to ease it. And what I really try to feel on the boat when I'm going to adjust either the main sheet tension or the Vang tension is how powered up we are and what the helm is really feeling like. So hopefully what you'll see in the video is that as the boat heels over and the helm comes up to weather, that's telling you that we're getting a puff. The boat's starting to heel to leeward. That's why I'm having to pull the helm up, and you should be seeing the main go out and the Vang coming on. And all of that is to keep the boat as flat as possible and the helm as balanced as possible. You don't want to be going upwind with a lot of drag because your helm is pulled to weather, and you want the boat as flat as possible to keep the centerboard super engaged. So that's what I'm really trying to feel in the helm. Anytime I'm feeling like I'm getting a lot of helm or the boat's heeling over, I'm going to be easing the main sheet and pulling the Vang on at the same time.
One thing I noticed you've done several times while you were talking, and right there you did it again, you're looking up. A lot of these good sailors are looking up constantly at their sails. Are there any indicators that you can see, that we might be able to see from this video here, that you're looking at that we can use as a reference point?
Yeah, so on the main, one of the key things that I look up at all the time is the Leech telltale and that top batten, the very top batten on the main. You want to have pretty much parallel to the boom. So kind of facing straight back when you're feeling like you're really powered up and going. If you're in an acceleration mode, you can ease the main sheet out a little bit so that the top batten will go to leeward. That opens up the Leech of the main and helps it accelerate. So I like to just take a peek up there and make sure that I'm not over trimmed or under trimmed by knowing I'm in the ballpark with that upper batten and the top telltale. The other thing that I'm looking for a lot in terms of the Vang and the Cunningham is the overbend wrinkles down low on the main, and you can start to see them there towards the bottom of the sail. We missed it a little bit at the very bottom, but those wrinkles are really key to make sure that you have the right sail shape towards the bottom and the right kind of twist profile as you go up. So I like to see the lowest wrinkle on the main should go just back past the back of the window. It's about halfway back, maybe a little more, and they should get smaller as they go up. And right when they get kind of above the window, they should sort of smooth out a bit. So we're going to tack here, but those wrinkles, they're going to become bigger and further back on the main as the Vang gets pulled on. And so if you need so much Vang that those wrinkles start going all the way back towards the clew, that's when it's time to start pulling the Cunningham on. So it's always good to check in with those wrinkles.
I'm going to rewind it just a little bit. You were talking about Leech, and you know what? Someone like me didn't know what a Leech was for the longest time. I assume you're talking about the area around the numbers where that the Leech, what I would call the Leech telltale, right? Up there in the upper part of that screen. So you're saying, once again, that's to be level with the boat under normal circumstances.
The top batten itself, yeah. If you were able to kind of sight up from the boom and look at the very top batten up above that Flying Scot logo, okay, that's what I'm talking about being parallel. And then there's a telltale at the very top up there that's either going to be flowing if the main is eased or stalled as the main starts to come in. So you should, generally speaking, have that top telltale flying about half the time. If you're in an acceleration mode, it should really be flying almost all the time. And when you're really feeling like you're going, you can start stalling it a little bit because that's where you're going to point. But actually, if you want to back up again, I noticed something while you're talking about the Leech. Watch as the main sheet comes in and out, watch how the lower part of the Leech goes in and out as well. And that's where all the power and point comes from. You can see when I do the big dump of the main sheet that just happened before there, that the leech goes out in a hurry and kind of pops out, and then right there with that big trim in, the lower part of the leech really starts to hook. And that's where you're getting your point from, is being able to actually shut down that leech for little moments there. That's just like an airplane wing going flaps down. That's where you get lift from. So it's always good to be pulling it in when you're feeling fast and can get that extra bit of point, and then it goes out quickly again to let the flow go across the main and get the speed going again.
Oh, that's amazing. Another thing I noticed, I think you're about ready to attack here. One thing I noticed is we talk about gears. A car going around a corner can't stay in fourth gear. And I notice how your sail comes out and then comes back in. There's actually quite a bit of a movement in terms of letting it out and shifting. So walk us through what you're doing from a sail trimmer's point of view during the tack.
During the tack, I try. It depends a lot on the conditions, but if you can trim the main in a little bit as you start your tack to head up, that's going to help, because that's just shutting down that leech even more, putting more hook in the leech, and that tells the boat head up into the wind. So that's a good way to use less rudder by using the main to help you turn up. But the really important thing is having the main sheet go out, maybe a foot, depending on how much breeze there is when you complete the tack, because when the main sheet goes out, as long as the vang is not over baked, the leech is going to open, and you're going to see that top telltale flying. That top batten that we were talking about is going to be in a twisted open position, and that's going to allow the boat to accelerate forward as you come out of the tack. You're always going to slow down when you tack, so when you come out of the tack, you need to be in acceleration mode, and having the main sheet eased a little bit is going to help you. Is the only way to do that.
Wow. Another thing that I got to play and watch this video, it's really, really impressive how the best sailors, how they sail so much with their sails as opposed to the tiller. Now, the tiller acts as a brake if you move it abruptly, and when I started sailing, I steered almost exclusively with my tiller. I think you can see here just all those little subtle movements of the boom by focusing in on that. It's really, really noticeable. You pull the sail in to come up into the wind, and then you let the main out to come down, and you're just making very subtle adjustments with the tiller. I think a newer sailor doesn't do it that way at all.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. Using as little rudder as you can is key. So using the mainsail to steer the boat is really good. But the other thing that I'm really thinking about with how much the main is going in and out is keeping a steady angle of heel. We all talk about trying to keep the boat as flat as we can, and that's definitely the case. But sometimes there's just so much breeze that the boat's gonna heel, no matter what you do. And the key there is to have a very steady angle of heel all the time, so you're not hobby horsing as you're going upwind, doing some sort of maneuver here. But you'll see that the main will go out when the boat starts to heel to leeward, and then as the boat comes back to flat, I'm going to pull the main in. And when the main comes in, that's inducing a little bit of leeward heel. When the main goes out, that's flattening the boat. So I'm using the main sheet to try to keep the steadiest angle of heel that I can going upwind.
Interesting. So from other trimming things, what are some real tricks or breakthroughs that you have when you're getting to be going from, I guess, beginner to intermediate? What are the things you can really work on in practice? What are those types of any drills you can do?
Yeah, I think a really cool drill, and we talked about doing it for this video, is a little too breezy, but if it was a little bit lighter, a really great drill to do is a rudderless sailing. I don't recommend actually taking your rudder all the way off to go out and do this for the first time, but try it out just letting go of the tiller while you're sailing upwind, and try to use your weight and your sails to steer the boat upwind, and that'll give you a really good feel for how much the sails actually do. By easing the main out and keeping the jib in, that's going to turn the boat further downwind, and by pulling the main in and letting the jib out, that's going to turn the boat further upwind. And if you couple that with moving body weight to leeward to head the boat further up and body weight to weather to head the boat down, you'd be surprised that you could actually go out and sail around in a Flying Scot in 6 or 8 knots without a rudder even attached to the boat. So that's a really good thing you can practice kind of on your own, is just go out. Again, I wouldn't recommend going out without the rudder completely, but just let go of the tiller for a little while and see how much can be accomplished using your body weight and sail trim. And you'll see it around marks as well. You can practice going around, like if you're going to do a leeward mark rounding, you can sail downwind, get to the mark, and then leave the jib out and just trim the main in without any rudder action, and the boat's going to head up for you. So that'll give you a really good feel of how much the sails can actually do for you in body weight, and that'll maybe discourage you from using so much rudder in the future.
Well, Zeke, I want to thank you. These videos are great. We're getting a lot of great feedback. We released our first video of your jibes, and everybody loved them. And we come to these regattas, and people are saying they're watching them over and over again. So me sitting here with you, I wish I could steal all the knowledge, but that wouldn't be very nice. So we got to share it with everybody, which is our motto here. And really appreciate you, appreciate North Sales, your support for our class and your involvement. It's been fantastic. Congratulations on the North American Championship, and look forward to seeing you in another regatta.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for doing this. This is great.